Hello and welcome to another episode of the SNS Cricket Diaries. This podcast has been taking shape since the last 1 year, and we have been very grateful to have some wonderful guests over the last few months. And today is an addition to that list, and I'm extremely chuffed to have Rohit Ganguly with us. Thank you so much, Rohit, for being here.
Hey, thank you so much, Siddharth. It's a pleasure for me.
Well, the pleasure is all ours, Rohit. And Rohit is a sports writer, and I feel that sports writing and cricket writing, about which we're going to talk about as well today, since our channel is on cricket, is something that can easily rival any kind of writing in the world because it gives light to some of the great stories that happen behind the scenes and which we sometimes don't get to know when we are watching cricket on the field. And so, sports writers and cricket writers who write about so many events that happen in the game, which we don't get to know, is something that really gives a great insight into the beautiful game of cricket. So, Rohit, thank you once again for being here. Let me introduce Rohit Ganguly to all my viewers. Rohit started off writing in 2016. It was initially a side hustle, and he was in the corporates until 2021, wherein he continued writing for sites like Sportskeeda and Firstsportz. And then it was into 2021 that he got his first break. He cracked into the RCB, Royal Challengers Bengaluru, as it is called now, and for whom he still writes. And he also ventured into commentary, which happened in 2023. He started off with Fancode and then gradually started hitting strides from there on. And it's an absolute honor, Rohit. Once again, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much again, Siddharth, for this wonderful introduction. I think I myself couldn't have encapsulated that better. So, yeah, thank you again.
So, Rohit, I would like to start by asking you about your journey as a cricket writer. Now, of course, I understand that you are very passionate about football and you are a sports writer, not just a cricket writer. But since our channel is based on cricket, so would like you to talk about your journey as a cricket writer. How did it all begin?
Okay, I think this is for that you have to listen to the initial days of my writing. It started off with football alongside with Sportskeeda. So I used to write very vehemently on Facebook and other social media platforms. And one of my friends picked it up from there. And she was the first one who said that, listen, Sportskeeda is hiring at the moment. So would you like to be a part of it? Now, in the first and foremost thing is you need to understand sports writing, no matter in whatever field you're writing, whether it's cricket or football, it happens through networking. It's not like that, it's like a job interview that comes knocking on your doors and you just get ready for it. No, not really. I mean, yeah, interviews do open up, but you eventually get informed about it through your network, right? So that is how it happened for me. I started writing to Sportskeeda. I started writing Indian football. Through that, I met someone who eventually introduced me to my next break. That was once again in the field of football. I've been very fortunate to work so extensively in football. But apart from that, again, in that magazine that I was writing for in football, I was promoted as the chief editor. So I got a bunch of wonderful writers who were writing under me. And one of those writers used to write cricket. Now, he once approached me saying, hi, I write for another website and they need writers who can step up. So he was the first one who actually handed me over the opportunity. It was just before pandemic. It was possibly towards the end of 2019 that I started writing cricket officially. I was still writing over my socials and I would express my opinions and whatnot. But eventually, the actual break came in 2019. It came through a cricket website called the Cricket Lounge, which I still write for, but even though now on a lesser scale. But following that, a lot of cricket websites started approaching me. It was First Sports. I was not writing cricket for them. I was covering American sports for them. But my main hustle for cricket started as Sportskeeda later on because I returned to Sportskeeda as a cricket writer after that, after I have completed my footballing journey with them. And then the Cricket Lounge, then there was another website, Sports Amaze as well. So yes, all of these websites came together and they gave me a platform. And particularly in pandemic, so my mom tested positive in the very first wave in the early days, and my entire family was shifted to isolation center. So back then, I didn't know what to do, right? So it's said that when you're caught in a juncture which has got teeth from all sides, you kind of feel very enclosed. You start feeling afraid. what to do now. And first and foremost, these 10 days that we spent in isolation, I didn't know what to do. I had my job in the ITs, but then we were working from home and the setup was still going through because I'm talking about early May 2020. So the
Mm,
setup was still not complete. So I didn't know what to do in isolation center. And
mm,
with the kind of uncertainty surrounding us, I was still kind of groping around in the dark that what's next. That is when I asked my editor, I literally begged him that, can you just give me more writing? I want to keep myself occupied. And that is when he said, why don't you start writing cricket more extensively for me?
mm,
And this is where it all started. This is where I understood at that very juncture that if there has to be a calling which makes me happy, see, I'm not disrespecting any jobs, but at the end of the day, you see, all big, all I mean, all visionaries, all luminaries have said time and time again, you've got to love to do what you work. Elon Musk said in an interview that you're going to work for 60 years of your life. And if you don't love what you're doing, you will be eventually tired. See, tiredness still sets in. I'm not saying I'm not tired. But now on a Sunday evening, I'm not sad about the fact that tomorrow I have to work again. I
mm,
am rather excited that I can write something new. So
mm,
that is how it all came in. I realized that this is something which I love to do. This is something where I get to express my thoughts, where I get to mingle my love for words and the thoughts and my love for cricket together. That is how it all started. Now, RCB happened in 2022 November, if I'm not too mistaken. Or sorry, it happened in 2021 November. That again happened. I was applying for these websites left, right, and center. I'm pretty sure I must have sent out what 100 and more messages on LinkedIn. I sent out 100 and more emails. Every single opening that I figured out, I responded, and I didn't get back a single response. So it went to such an extent where I felt that either my messages are not getting delivered or
mm.
I'm sending it to the wrong recipient. I even asked my friend, I'm going to send you a mail. Can you just check it and let me know whether that mail has gone through or not? He said, no, the mail's come across fine. That even left me more disheartened. Then out of nowhere, this opening comes up for RCB. They were looking for someone who could do long format.
Mhm.
And I applied. And I applied, believe me, with not much hope in my heart because it's RCB. It's one of the most popular franchisees. Why
Mm.
would they take me? And I received a call 10 minutes later saying that, hi, you applied for it. And we just went through your profile. We would like to interview you for that. And I was like, okay. And I thought that was a prank. I still remember on the first call, I told my boss that, listen, if this is a prank, it's not the right time. I'm not in the right headspace. And he said, what do you need from us to believe that we are actually calling you for that? It's like, maybe a mail. And they mailed me instantly and they set up the time for the interview. With God's grace, the interview went well. And since then, it has finally been a full time hustle alongside my cricket commentary as well.
Wow, that's fantastic. I think that's the stuff dreams are made of for many of us. So I think a great inspirational story. I think this is for many of those who are watching this and would like to get into cricket writing. My next question, Rohit, is about what are the qualities that one needs to have to be a good cricket writer? Because we see with the social media and the boom of so many apps that are there. So amidst all this technological revolution, how do you view a good cricket writer? Because with ChatGPT and so many other things, so we can come up with wonderful scripts in matter of seconds. So, what do you think, especially in today's day and age, should be the qualities that a good cricket writer should have?
Okay. Since you mentioned ChatGPT, I need to go in slightly technical. I'll get back to the aspects of getting a good cricket writer slightly later. I think Google has a parameter itself where if you write with the help of ChatGPT and you're just copy pasting what ChatGPT represents you with, I think Google has this way of making it out, and then your reach kind of goes down on that. So
Mhm.
that's one thing you need to be very, very practical about. I am not against the use of ChatGPT. What I'm saying is use it sensibly. ChatGPT can be a wonderful tool in terms of research. It can give you countless facts and stats. You got to just go through them, right? But I personally believe that the true element of being a good cricket writer or of being a writer whatsoever is it has to come from within. It is has to come for the love of the sport. You have seen the sport. See, I'll be honest with you. While I was a kid, I always wanted to play cricket, but then I had a serious heart ailment back then. So my outdoor sports were kind of a no-no for me. My doctor said I cannot play till the age of 15, and I hope with Sachin Tendulkar stepping up in the international circuit at the age of 16, you know that how quickly you need to start. I'm not talking about going to India. I'm not talking about becoming another Sachin Tendulkar, but at least you need to be there in the circuit by 12 or 13, at least to make it big, even at the age of 25, 26, maybe. So you need years of practice. So that went down the drain. But you see, if you love the sport, okay, if you love the sport, then that love remains. Even if it's not coming out in the form of your prowess of flair through the bat or the ball, it comes out through some way or the other. It can be, see, nowadays in the current field, cricket has boomed, right? Anything. It's burgeoning with every passing day. Every state has its own league. In fact, a few state has two leagues of its own, right? With that kind of scenario, with that kind of skyrocketing spectacles, I think what's very important that is that you love the game. And then, a lot of people tells me that, to be a good writer, you need a good vocabulary. It's absolutely wrong. What you need is your expression of thoughts, how good you can express your thoughts, right? Because at the end of the day, what some or the reader would like is that, yes, this is what the opinion is, or this is what the fact is, and this is how it has been expressed, right? You have to write. So I had this opportunity of working under one of the very famous journalists, one of the very famous footballing journalists, rather. And he taught me that your stories will have to be for the masses because you do not know who's reading it and where is he reading it from. You've got to keep it simple. You've got to ensure that you're maintaining the beauty of the language and you're going forward with it. So I think to be a good cricket writer, first, you need to love the game. You cannot just be, like you cannot just see it from outside. Oh, yes, this is what has happened. That is what has happened. So I'll just put my news in a piece. No, it doesn't work like that, right? Because you may see Surya Kumar Yadav playing a knock of 84 balls from 40 balls. And similarly, in the same match, let's say India needed 12 runs from 5 balls and India had 1 wicket in hand. Then that very match, Jasprit Bumrah remains out till the last 2 balls, goes on to hit those 2 sixes. It is going to be Jasprit Bumrah who will be talked about more than Surya Kumar Yadav in terms of batting. And that is because of the context. So that is why it's very important you know the game. Because once you know the game, you know the pulse of the game. And cricket in India, particularly cricket in India, it's a game where, what would I say? It's like a religion. It's like a god that people worships, right? I've seen people breaking down. I've seen people, I myself have cried. When India lost the last World Cup, I was crying like a kid back in my home. It hurts. So with this kind of fandom in India, you just cannot walk away with partial knowledge of cricket. You need to know the game, you need to feel the game, you need to love the game. Once you do that, the thoughts will automatically start coming to you. Let's say today the Indian cricket team has been forged for the World Cup. Then you will have your own thoughts. Okay, this player I've seen, he's done this, he's done that. But why has he not a part of the team? So this is all a part of this massive thing. It's not just, fragments. It's all the things coming together. And if you have your thoughts in place, when you start writing them, I don't think it's going to be much of a challenge. Words can be put down at any point in time. It's just the thoughts and the love for the game that has to come together. Eloquency is just a matter of training and practice. That's it.
Great, wonderful. Rohit, I'd like to ask a question which originally was not part of my list, but it just sort of struck me to ask you, and probably might have an interesting answer for that. So, so when you write cricket articles or sports articles in general, and when sometimes do you look back at those articles and probably come up with one article where you feel, wow, I mean, how did I write this? Yeah, that's such a wonderful piece. And on the other side of the spectrum, any such article where you have felt that, okay, or maybe I made a blunder here, or I made a mistake here, or maybe this was not up to the mark. So has it happened like that with you?
It happens every day, every single day. Believe me. See, it's like a performer, right? When you write, no matter whatever it is, it's like a performer. And you're writing a good piece, and you read it out later. It's like, oh wow, this came from me. Seriously, I am that good. But then again, there are days where you're actually down, where you do not reach up to that mark. Because you see, writing something is being creative as well, right? It's just not about writing the news pieces. It's just not about quoting someone else. It's about coming up with particular explanations and analysis. So yes, when there are days when I look at my writings and I say, this can be better, miles better. So for me, both of them are days of learning, to be very honest. I'm not going to give you that, that didactic attitude that, no, you got to learn it from, no, it doesn't work like that. If you have written something good, you possibly think of doing it better. You possibly think, all right, this is what has worked for me. I like what I've written out here, so maybe the next piece can be better. And you have a word with your editor, you tell them that, hi, this is what it is, this is how I feel. See, there's always someone who's guiding you, right?
Mm.
And even if someone's not guiding you, let's say it's your own company itself, and you want to write, you still want to write, you can still fall back to the ones who have guided you over the years. Tell them, hi, this is an article, which I still do. My first editor at RCB, I still get in touch with him and I still tell him that, hi, this is what I've written. I would like to know, what do you think of it? What are the changes that can be done? Or is there any better that I can do? See, at the end of the day, I love words. Okay, I have a massive word lover. I'm a massive lover of languages. Right, no matter whatsoever language it is, I believe, if you know a particular language to its very roots, you'll find a new love life for yourself. Right, and so for me, it's about learning where did I go wrong, what are the things I could have worked on, or possibly, let's say, if I'm stuck in a similar situation, because see, a writer's block is very real. It can come to you at any point in time. But given the fact when you're operating in the cricket industry, nobody is going to understand that you have a writer's block. You need pieces day in, day out. You need pieces every hour in, every hour out. So, how do you manage that? So, that means I need to have that mindset. When I'm making those mistakes, I possibly will have to be like, all right, this was my mindset, and this is all that I can think of. So, possibly, I need to think of other alternatives. Let's say if I'm stuck in a place where there is a writer's block, where I'm not able to come up with something very creative, I will have to figure out these alternatives. Also, I would like to point this out. Um, so basically, working through RCB is via a media agency, right? I mean, they do not have a direct channel with us.
Mm.
I mean, we still interact with them, but to be very fair and to be very honest, my exact profession is for the media agency that I work for. That's Okay Done Media.
Mhm.
My seniors out there are very helpful, very, very helpful. So whenever I'm facing something like this, I reach out to them that, hi, this is what it is. Can you help me with possibly just a couple of lines?
Mhm.
It's just a matter of couple of lines. Believe me, once those couple of lines are out there, the rest of the things come in perspective. It's like, when you're playing a cricket match, when you're coming out to bat, you would see a batter very edgy initially. He's not able to play out a shorter delivery. Just once he starts middling the ball, not even hitting boundaries, even if he's defending on the front foot, it comes from the middle of his bat. That's when he starts gaining confidence and the rest falls into place. So it's about getting those initial parts right, learning from your mistakes, learning from where it went off the rails, and then eventually getting them in a place and restarting the journey tomorrow once again.
Interesting. I think a lot of food for thought for aspiring cricket writers and writers in general. I think, Rohit, because I think the writer's block that you talked about is something that even researchers like those who are doing PhD, they also face that, and it can sometimes be very daunting, and especially in a field where you have to come up with pieces day in and day out, as you've said, it can be quite daunting. So I think it's important to have that I think that shoulder on which you can lean upon and for support and guidance. So that's great. Rohit, my next question to you is about the relationship between writers and journalists and their relationship with cricketers. Because now without taking any names, in the recent past, I'm sure you would also be aware of a seasoned cricket journalist who sort of fell out of favor with the BCCI due to alleged harassment of a cricketer. He has, I think, served a ban, and I think his ban is over now. So um, I think that just sort of has thrown light on how the relationships are and should be or should not be between cricket writers and or journalists and the cricketers themselves. So I'd like you to throw some light on this. And as a writer, how much do you feel is important to sort of in terms of criticism of the players when they are not performing up to the mark? Do you think that there is pressure on writers to sugarcoat and not really come up with what should be a very unbiased report of cricketers, or do you think that there are writers who do sort of stick up against any kind of criticism that they might face, and they do write the truth? What is your take on this?
Very good question, actually. It kind of put me in a tough spot, though. Okay, what you just said about the incident and all. So this question has a few answers to it, like a bit of nuances, I would say. First and foremost, you have to understand that a cricketer is also a human being, right? He is not just a god and a celebrity that you're talking about. At the end of the day, he can make mistakes as well. So let's say if he's going through a bad patch and you're pushing him at that point in time, you also need to understand that he comes with a bandwidth, with a certain bandwidth. You're forcing him to cross that bandwidth so repercussions can follow. So, yes, it's not that I'm not saying that don't be that intimate with cricketers. What I'm trying to say here is everything has a limit. Even as a journalist, that too has a limit. So I think it's about knowing that line very particularly, knowing the fact that where you can call dibs on that moment or where you cannot, right? It's not always like one particular thing that my profession has taught me is balance is the key. And I think even in our life as well, balance is the key. Overdrive is never good, underdrive is not neither good as well. So yes, I think relationship between a cricketer and a journalist, that is very, very important, because at the end of the day, it is relationships like that which allows us fans to know the intimate stories of the players. When I say intimate, a lot of players, a lot of audience, they have this opportunity of twisting it up. No, but I don't mean it in that way. What I
Yeah.
eventually mean is, like, you see, there was an incident that we came to know about Sachin Tendulkar when he had a tennis elbow. Like the way he was training. Now that's not a story we are supposed to know, but that man squeezed out his everything. If that story would not have come out, we would have never known. Recently, I was listening to a podcast, a Bengali podcast, and there was a very famous cricket journalist of India, and he said how when he first met Dhoni, Dhoni used to play in Kolkata before he went on to hit the bigger yards. He used to play in the clubs in Kolkata, and in one of those matches, while he went to Dhoni's room, Dhoni just said one thing, and that was that "Kheli to hai." So this weight that he showed, that the ability of MS Dhoni to keep calm, to treat a game like a game and not make it a matter of life and death. I think that is what creates a difference. Now we would not have known that if he would not have let us, or he would not have told us this incident. In fact, I wouldn't be taking names. I'm talking about someone who's had the privilege of being with Saurav Ganguly in the same room on the night when he scored 183 in Taunton. So he was the one to receive the CM of Calcutta back then, Jyoti Basu's call when Saurav scored that. So he was the one who brought us this story. So that is why we say this relationship is important. But at the same time, just because there is a relationship between you and a particular cricketer doesn't mean that you will be going overdrive on that. A good relationship, a healthy relationship means knowing the bounds, knowing where to go forward, where not to. It's like, again, playing a perfect cricket shot. It's like knowing where you can go forward with the drive, timing it that to perfection, or also knowing the fact if you mistime it, there's a slip waiting right behind, or a keeper waiting right behind you. So it's like that. That's the first part. Second part that you would ask me about, like how would one like what's the difference, or what's the relationship that ideally one should have alongside the cricket and all of it. Again, at the end of the day, I believe that it's important one knows what his strengths are, or one knows what the cricketer's strengths are. About criticizing someone, see, it's not about sugarcoating, but you have to keep in mind that when you are criticizing someone, there also needs to be a particular way of putting it, right? If some, because from 2019 till 2021 till 2022, till the time Virat didn't get a century, I have read countless pieces that have gone mercilessly against him, despite the fact that he was still getting those 70s, 80s constantly, half centuries constantly. He was just not getting the centuries, and people have gone left, right, and center blasting him. But at the same time, I have written a piece in The Guardian and in ESPN Cricinfo that said that just because Virat Kohli has now turned himself into a cricketing god, that means knives are always waiting behind him to go ahead and poke him because he's not performing. So there are ways of putting it. You have to give the credit for what he is due. You have to also criticize for what is due. Sugarcoating, you would like to say? You see, sugarcoating is a very strong term. Now, sugarcoating means that possibly saying, so I'll give you an example. Let's say, all right, let's take this. I'm not going to name, a particular cricketer. But then there have been occasions in the recent past where his bowling has been questioned over and over again, particularly in the domestic circuit. Every single time the man has picked up the ball for India, whether it's in South Africa, whether it's an Asia Cup, he has breathed fire left, right, and center. So how do you put that as? People have said that he's not fit for IPL, but that man is the spearhead of Indian bowling. It may be this tournament has been a bad one for him. So you just cannot go on criticizing him, right? There is a balance that you need to maintain. It's okay, you write the truth. I'm not against writing the truth. You write the truth. This tournament has not been well enough. But just because this tournament has not been well enough, you cannot come up with a hypothesis that in 2030 this player will not be performing well, so he should be dropped right away. No, cricket doesn't act like that, right? When you are writing, yes, the truth should be written. But there is a difference between truth and criticism, right? You just cannot say that, Virat Kohli is not at all a very good player because he's scoring slow. No, you have to understand the situation that ABD said. Simon Dool said recently on Sunday. He said in an interview with CricBuzz, said that like Virat Kohli need not get into those comments. He is a great already. So yes, it's important to say the truth. But again, at the end of the day, you see, in today's world with the advent of social media, criticizing someone is very easy, but being in that shoe is not easy, right? Every player will have their ups and downs. So yes, you write the truth. This is what has happened. That is possibly why we love the stories of ESPN Cricinfo, the stories of Wisden, CricBuzz, because they stick to facts. And even if they have an opinion, they come up with ample backup. But see, cricket writing, it's kind of mushrooming right now. Every alternate door you knock, what do? I am a cricket writer. I'm a massive good writer. Well enough. What pieces do you have? You read them, and all you read is, okay, so why are you a good writer? Because I've criticized Virat Kohli. So what is there in the piece? Yeah, Virat Kohli has scored these many runs. He shouldn't be scoring these. He should be scoring a century in every match. It's not how it works. See, criticism is a very strong term. So when you are criticizing someone, ensure the fact that you have ample backup, if not numbers, at least the situations. Possibly how, like while he was not getting those centuries, I remember a piece by ESPN Cricinfo where they wrote how he was getting out. What were his vulnerabilities? Why is Virat Kohli being criticized? Right? There is a certain method to this madness. It cannot be a madness without a method. So I believe that line between criticism and sugarcoating has to be known. Sugarcoating is not right. Criticism is not right. Let the truth be said. Let the audience decide for themselves which or what they want to make of it.
Fair enough, Rohit. And yeah, I think in like in every other sphere of life, even in cricket writing, uh, there are the good and the bad. So I think it sort of balances out on its own. Going forward, Rohit, and talking about RCB, you mentioned at the top of the show about your how you got in touch with them and started writing for them. So how has it been the experience of working with an IPL franchisee? I mean, no less than RCB, even though they haven't yet won an IPL tournament, but it's incredible the kind of fan base that they have. So I mean, working for a big franchisee, and has it given you some sort of a different insight than an average fan watching from a distance and looking at the franchisees? So how is it different than a fan for you to be writing for them? Just give us some insight into it.
It has been wonderful. The journey has been incredible. I've had some tremendously supportive seniors who's really, first and foremost, trained me and helped me out how to write, because you have to understand, being a cricket writer and being a writer for a particular franchisee, it comes with a few, I won't say restrictions, but it comes with a few instructions. Like there are a few things we cannot do, there are a few things we cannot write. So I think you also know that, because it's from the perspective of the franchisee itself. Apart from that, if you talk about different perspective, first and foremost, the pressure is always on the higher side, and that's not because of the seniors, because we are working in cricket in India, and the pressure is always on the higher side. For every individual who's still struggling to get into writings like this, or into franchisees, or into clubs like these, because their seniors say, so what will happen off season? believe me, the work remains the same off season as well. There's nothing called off season for us.
Mhm.
Yeah, the work during the season is slightly higher. The work during the off season is I won't say chilled out, but it's slightly a bit more relaxed than during the season.
Mhm.
And about a different perspective, of course, it gives me a different perspective because, see, we get to know how players feel. If a player has performed bad, see, on the very day, everybody criticizes them, and that's that.
Mm.
Then we all go into the criticizing mode that we were talking about. But since we have people who are out there with the players, they tell us that, listen, this guy is going through this. This guy is very remorse about what has happened. This guy was not expecting that. And I think that tells us a lot about players as individuals. We get to know how players behave, how players react. So, yes, that changes our perspective entirely. Because you see, what we are watching is on the television. What we are watching is a narrative that has been fed to us by social media, by other writers, and what so not. But when we get to know the first hand perspective, at times it makes us feel very joyous. At times it makes us feel heartbroken. And at times it makes us feel, all right, it's time to go forward with the next piece.
Interesting. So now we're coming towards the end of this fantastic chat, Rohit, and I think just a couple of days ago, the Indian team for the 2024 T20 World Cup was announced. So I'd like to end this interview by having your take on it. Do you think that it's, I mean, again, the social media and the media in general has so many divided opinions. Is it a very safe approach? Have they not, has Ajit Agarkar as the national selector, chief selector, has he just sort of followed the convention? And do you think that some players should not be there in the team, or what is your take on the team as a whole?
But I remember when I joined RCB, so one of my seniors, told me that, what's the toughest two positions in India to have as jobs? One is the chief Indian selector, and the other one is the Indian cricket team coach. So they are always under fire. Whether the team wins, whether the team doesn't win, they're always under fire. But yeah, coming back to a much more serious part of it, I was expecting Rinko Singh to be a part of this tournament because he's actually performed phenomenally well. But once again, I think, see, Ajit Agarkar must have had some perspective bringing this team together. Now, people are pretty divided on the inclusion of Virat Kohli, which I'm kind of surprised. I was not expecting Virat Kohli would be questioned, but I would think that the team that we have, we are pretty good enough. I am slightly quizzed about the inclusion of Yuzvendra Chahal, but then he's a wicket taker. So possibly going by that and mixing with the experience that he brings into the platter, I think that is still a very good decision. Another important point is people are questioning again Rohit Sharma. How? Yeah, people are saying that Rohit Sharma's numbers in IPL are horrible. So how can he make it to the Indian team? We all know Rohit Sharma in the blue thread is an entirely different beast altogether. Once he gets going, he can wreck opposition single-handedly in his heyday. So what I would like to say is I'm not going to say I'm elated with the team choice. Yes, a few changes could have been made here and there, but I personally believe this is a good enough team. But whether they are good enough to challenge the title, I will not be making any comments unless that final ball in the World Cup final has been bowled and India has lifted the trophy. Because in the last World Cup, 2023, all hopes were out there. And eventually you saw what happened. So, yes, I would say this is a good team. But again, one particular thing, though, that is slightly bothering me is this is West Indies and USA at play. So, surfaces in West Indies have always been tricky enough for any team visiting them. And West Indies is a T20 powerhouse. So, I won't be surprised if they are making the giant strides. But I would say that I am okay with the team. I'm not too sad. I'm not too happy either. But I have one another name that I thought that should be a part of this. Again, he was dropped because of his recent performances. That is KL Rahul. But again, KL Rahul, when it comes to India, we have seen it in the 2023 World Cup. He can be a very good weapon out in the middle order of the Indian cricket team.
Mm.
But all right, I'm pretty sure Ajit Agarkar must have had a different perspective. The captain must have had a different perspective. Let's just hope whatever the team is, I am not going to criticize or go down raining upon anyone's parade. All I'm going to say is, as an Indian fan, I would love India to win this tournament. It's been a long time. It's been more than a decade since we have lifted an ICC trophy. Let's end this drought. Let's end this drought at least for Virat Kohli, please.
Yeah, interesting, Rohit. And uh, the talk can go on and on, but in the interest of time, I'd like to end the conversation here. It's been fantastic, Rohit, to have you on the show and to get to know a perspective of a sports writer. And there's so many different facets to the writing that you have. So we wish you from SNS Cricket Diaries all the best for all your future endeavors, and hope to keep in touch with you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Siddharth, for this opportunity. And whoever's watching this, I would like to tell you. So I follow Siddharth pretty intensely on LinkedIn. The guy is actually making strides in his professional sphere as well. So please do, keep on following SS Cricket Diaries. I'm pretty sure, like as in the coming days, he's just gonna get bigger from here on. So yes, thank you so much for this opportunity. It was incredible chatting with you. And I would like to mention this out. I've been about a few interviews before this, but if there's one particular interview that I really enjoyed, it was like, yeah, I enjoyed the other ones as well, but I enjoyed it slightly more than the other ones. It was this, first and foremost, because of the nature of questions. Second of all, because of the nature of the conversation. And that's it. So yeah, thank you so much. The pleasure was mine. And it's an honor sharing the fame with you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rohit, for your kind words, and I hope you've enjoyed listening to Rohit. And until the next time, see you. Bye.